Imagine a place where society's most reprehensible individuals are confined. Within these prison walls lurk those who have committed unthinkable acts, extending their crimes even behind bars. In this gripping video, we'll delve into the chilling profiles of 10 prisoners who have earned a reputation for terror. Billy Joe Johnson, infamous for his white supremacist gang affiliations, led a life defined by criminality and violence. His life sentence for avenging an anonymous TV expose about his gang by murdering his childhood confidant Scott Miller was only the beginning. Behind bars, Johnson confessed to the ruthless killings of 2 fellow inmates for petty reasons and the barbarous homicide of a child molester. He rapidly attained notoriety as the prison's most savage inmate, earning a death sentence following a retrial. Yet he remained remorseless throughout the legal proceedings. Alexander Solonik, once a feared superkiller of the underworld, was a ruthlessly trained Russian assassin, originally deployed to target senior NATO officials during the Cold War. After the end of the Cold War, the unemployed Solonik turned his deadly skills to the Russian mafia as a hitman. Despite his incarceration after a string of contract assassinations, his deadly trade flourished behind bars, eliminating numerous prisoners under mafia contracts. A violent shootout led to his daring escape, aided by his mob allies, but the past eventually caught up with him and he was tragically killed along with his girlfriend by an assassin hired by the mafia. Randy Kraft, emerging from ordinary beginnings in California, shocked the globe with his horrific crimes. Convicted of multiple murders, each victim a grim notch on his spine-chilling tally, this intelligent and captivating individual concealed his monstrous alter ego beneath an enigmatic, seemingly average exterior. Behind his affable charm lurked a cool, calculating predator, viewing humanity as his hunting ground. Kraft's bloodlust remained undiminished by imprisonment, simply transitioning his murderous endeavors within prison walls. Reported deaths of fellow inmates hinted at his continued reign of terror, exploiting the prison system to execute his lethal stratagems. Arthur Shawcross, emerging from humble origins in Kittery, Maine, took a dark detour into infamy, etched in blood by his conviction for 14 deliberate, premeditated homicides. His gruesome deeds earned him a haunting moniker, turning him into a symbol of terror. Shawcross's hardened visage and icy glaze infused fear, his seemingly composed demeanor barely veiling the monster within. This chilling ruthlessness unnerved even the bravest, his facades of charm and affability concealing a manipulative nature, making him an alarmingly dangerous adversary. A grim truth that resonated within his prison confines. Incarceration didn't halt Shawcross's reign of terror, his alleged murder of an inmate prompting a disturbing query. How could a man already convicted of multiple murders commit another within prison walls? Alexander Petrushkin, famously dubbed the Chessboard Killer, is an infamous Russian serial murderer who professed to have taken 63 lives. His fascination with chess and unique kill-telly method, marking each death on a chessboard, led to his chilling epithet. Convicted and handed a life sentence, he endures his days in solitary confinement, deemed too dangerous for regular prison population. Given the sparse information available to the public, unconfirmed suspicions linger about murders committed within prison confines, solidifying his reputation as one of Russia's most notorious criminals. You may be familiar with the story of Christopher Saba, the African-American convict who ended the life of notorious serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. Serving a life sentence for fatally confronting a former employer, Saba was already known as a brutal figure inside Wisconsin's Columbia Correctional Institution. This fact escalated when Dahmer, known for his horrific crimes mostly against African Americans, became his fellow prisoner. Realizing the extent of Dahmer's atrocities, Saba made his move, killing Dahmer in a violent act of revolt inside the prison gym. Consequently, he spent many years in solitary confinement due to the ferocity of his actions, cementing his reputation as the institution's most feared and ruthless inmate. British convict Robert Maudsley, infamous as Hannibal the Cannibal, possesses a haunting past painted with drama and savagery. Born into a home riddled with physical and purported sexual abuse, he spiraled into a life stained by prostitution, addiction, and murder. Tormented by voices beckoning him to execute his parents, Maudsley mused that heeding these calls might have spared others. In 1974, his deadly touch fell upon John Farrell, executed through karate. Yet imprisonment couldn't quell Maudsley's murderous impulses. In 1978, he slew two fellow inmates, Sonny Darwood and William Roberts. Given his relentless brutality, authorities deemed him extraordinarily dangerous, commissioning a solitary two-cell unit within Wakefield Prison's depths, specifically to incarcerate him indefinitely. Jaime Osuna, notorious for his violent past and prior conviction for the brutal murder of a woman in 2011, was once discovered armed at a former detention center, posing a significant threat to guards. Despite this, he was placed in the same cell as Luis Romero at Corcoran State Prison. Osuna then horrifically murdered his cellmate in an incident too disturbing to be detailed on platforms like YouTube. This chilling episode has spurred inquiries, legal proceedings, and concerns about inmate safety within California's prison system. In June 2022, Osuna's trial was paused by a defense request, followed by a change in his legal representation. His new attorney disputes the assertion that Osuna is mentally competent to stand trial for Romero's alleged murder. Thomas Silverstein, a man notorious for his violent deeds in prison, began his criminal odyssey in 1975, convicted of 3 bank robberies. Imprisonment failed to quell his violent tendencies, as he was later convicted of murdering another Aryan Brotherhood inmate and then becoming one of them. Later, in a chilling escalation, he was found guilty of a second murder, that of Raymond Cadillac Smith, a high-ranking black prison gang leader. Silverstein and Clay Fountain, another inmate, brutally beat Smith 68 times. In 1983, he plotted and executed the murder of Officer Merle Eugene Klutz, stabbing him 40 times with the help of other inmates. Silverstein was then sentenced to perpetual solitary confinement, living over 36 years in a constantly lit and soundproof cell, criticized as torture by the ACLU. Brazilian serial killer Pedro Rodrigues Filho, notoriously known as Low Pedro Killer, admitted to over 100 homicides, including an astonishing 47 within prison walls. Initiated into violence at 14 as a response to his father's job loss, his savagery escalated following his fiancée's murder by a gang seeking revenge. Filho orchestrated a bloodbath at the gang leader's nuptials, culminating in 7 deaths and 16 casualties. His most chilling act was his prison encounter with his father, also an inmate and his mother's murderer. Filho responded by stabbing him 22 times. After that, he targeted felons embodying what he deemed extreme evil, executing a convicted rapist and dispatching his cellmate for overstepping personal boundaries. Despite his brutal vigilantism, a law-capping prison terms led to his 2007 release. Today, he maintains a YouTube channel refuting his monstrous image. Here we've recounted the stories of the 10 most notorious inmates whose malevolent acts persisted even behind bars, casting a grim shadow over human history. We deeply appreciate your fortitude for embarking on this chilling expedition with us. For further exploration of such sobering narratives, we invite you to subscribe and like this video to stay in the loop. Check out the previous episode and get ready for something epic coming next. Thank you.